Hello and welcome to Sierra Make. I'm Sierra and today we're going to make some gluten-free carrot cake.
For today's cake recipe, we will need 2 cups of gluten-free all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a half teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 3 large eggs, 2 cups of sugar, 3/4 cup of vegetable oil, 3/4 cup of buttermilk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 cups of grated carrot, 8 ounces of crushed pineapple, and 3.5 ounces of flaked coconut. As always, this recipe will be in the description down below. First things first, you want to prep some of your ingredients, so if you haven't grated your carrots, go ahead and grate 2 to 3 carrots. Also measure out your 3.5 ounces of flaked coconut and 8 ounces of crushed pineapple. Next, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For this cake, we will be using 3 9-inch round cake pans and lining them with wax paper. So here I am cutting out circles to place in the bottom of my pans, and then we will lightly grease them and flour the wax paper. For this cake batter, in a medium-sized bowl, we want to mix together our first 4 dry ingredients, which was the 2 cups of gluten-free flour. I used Bob's Red Mill, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a half teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Make sure to blend these ingredients all together, and then we can set this aside and pull out our second bowl. In this bowl, we will add our next 5 ingredients, which was our eggs, sugar, vegetable oil, buttermilk, and vanilla extract. Just so you know, this cake ended up being really sweet, so if you want to use less sugar at this point, go ahead and add only 1.5 cups here instead of the 2 cups the original recipe called for. Now beat these ingredients together with an electric mixer until it's nice and smooth. Once it's smooth, go ahead and add the flour mixture from our first bowl in a little bit at a time until it's blended. Now that that's done, we're going to fold in the grated carrots, the crushed pineapple, and the flaked coconut. You can also choose to add 1 cup of chopped nuts here, like walnuts, or you can do what I did and use them as decoration later on. Now pour your batter into the 3 cake pans we prepped earlier on and bake them until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. For me, this took about 45 to 50 minutes, but the original recipe I used called for 30 minutes. So I recommend checking them after about half an hour. You probably will need a few minutes after that though. While we're waiting for these cakes to bake, we can make some buttermilk glaze to drizzle on top of them. For this glaze, you need 1 cup of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, a half cup of buttermilk, 1 stick of butter, 1 tablespoon of light corn syrup, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. In a saucepan, go ahead and add your buttermilk and butter first, and then you can add your sugar and light corn syrup and baking soda next. Bring this all to a boil and stir it for a few minutes. Then remove it from heat and stir in the 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. As I said before, this cake turned out a little sweet, so if you decide you want your cake less sweet, you can cut this glaze recipe in half. Now it's time to check on our cakes. Here I am sticking the toothpick in the center and checking to see if it comes out clean. And it did, so now we can take them out and drizzle our buttermilk glaze on them. Make sure to pour it evenly over the layers so you don't end up with a soggy center like I kinda did. As you can see, I'm pouring it straight into the center and not really getting the sides of it. Now we just leave these to sit for about 15 minutes and then remove them from the pans, take the wax paper off, and let them cool completely. In the meantime, we can make our cream cheese frosting. For our frosting ingredients, we want 1 stick of softened butter, not 2 that I have here, 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, 2 cups of powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Go ahead and unwrap your butter and cream cheese and beat them together until it's nice and creamy. And now sift in your powdered sugar. By sifting it, you're getting rid of all of the chunks of powdered sugar so that you get a nice fine powder that blends well. And also go ahead and add your 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and blend it all together until you get a nice, smooth, beautiful frosting. Finally, it's time to put it all together. As you're layering this cake, make sure to try and get an equal amount of frosting between each layer, and make sure the layers are stacked up on top of each other. Make sure the cake's not leaning to one side versus the other, and make sure to smooth out the frosting so that you don't end up with a leaning tower of cake. Also, if you decided to use your nuts as decoration, you can put them in between each layer of cake and on the outside of your cake. My sister asked if she could help decorate the cake, so she placed adorable carrots made of sugar sprinkles around the top. While she was decorating the top, I placed some crushed walnuts around the edges of it, and overall I think this decoration turned out really adorable because it's carrot cake and the walnuts on the sides gave this kind of earthy look to it. And finally, it's all done. There is our homemade gluten-free carrot cake. If you liked this recipe, go ahead and click the like button. Comment if you want to make this cake or if you did make this cake, and please subscribe because I post new videos every Friday. Lastly, if you want to see another baking video of mine, go ahead and click the link on the screen. Until then, thank you for watching.